can do that. Yeah.
Because he's demonstrating.
Well, I think that's really interesting to bring up because singers are sometimes wanting to have a perfect voice before they go out on stage, but that's just not realistic or practical for
especially as a
most of us.
professional.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to speak a little to that about not always being at 100%, but having to go out there and be brilliant anyway?
Well, I don't know about the brilliant part, but having to go out there, I can definitely speak to. And you, not only do you just do your best, but what I've learned, speaking to what Khristian was talking about, relaxing, what Mark has been saying, is that I have to have a joy in my spirit, so to speak. And because if I feel some of the concerns of daily life, I have to be able to let that go and have that joy. That helps me to relax. And once I get there, suddenly it's almost like I have a little extra boost of, I don't know, it's like fortitude or spiritual energy that I can literally just ride that for a while.
Yeah.
And when I get around my brothers here, you know, that's one of the things that we focus on. We try to let go, we share, we're very transparent in the way that we deal with the things that are going on in our lives, and we share that with each other. We pray about it and we move forward. And by the time we hit the stage, usually that joy is in the midst.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me piggyback on what Dave is saying. Excuse me, singing the top part, the looser I am, the easier it is to sing those notes. If I'm thinking about it, or I know this is coming, you know, in this next song or whatever, you can almost guarantee that either I'm not gonna make it, or it's gonna be tougher to make it because I'm thinking so much about it.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that is, right after whatever that hard passage was, I have all the notes that I
Suddenly your
have.
relaxation is complete.
Because you've already gotten past that point.
Yep.
So it's not that you don't have the notes, it's that your spirit isn't allowing you to actually fall into that.
Absolutely.
Well, let me add one more thing to that,
Please.
though. So, especially in a group, if you're a solo singer, you know, you probably have to focus a little bit more on how you're projecting. But in a group, sometimes you can hide behind some falsetto sometimes, which doesn't actually require quite as much air. At least that's what I found.
That's true. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At least that's what I found. And so some of those times you can sort of kind of blend in because in a group, the blend is very important.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's talk about high notes actually, because that's something that everybody wants to know about. How do you approach them? Are you ever afraid of them? Do you have a thought or a idea in your mind of how to hit your high notes effectively? That's for everybody.
For everyone.
I'll take this one.
I want to ask you about low notes too.
Well, I'll jump out there again because I sing the second part from the top, but it requires me to be up in, you know, higher registers most of the time. Now, early on in our career, we pushed a lot harder. We felt like, okay, you know, now that we've done this and we have to prove ourselves, we have to sing harder, we have to bring it, you have to have the thos and the juice behind everything. So you pushed a lot harder, you got
what's
tired.
those, Mark? What's those?
Pathos. Pathos.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, I pushed a lot harder and you know, peter out a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You know, you find that you might get hoarse and you might not be able to get the notes for the last part of the concert.
Yeah.
And I found that, you know, in those early days, you know, I would periodically crack during the performance at some point. So I had learned to reserve and take my time.
Yeah.
And so hitting those high notes, I actually learned how to be up there and not work hard. Relax and hit the notes with ease. You don't have to hit them loud. You just have to hit them, you know? And you know, the more consistent you are up there, working in the mix, working between falsetto and, I just happen to have a very high chest voice. Yeah. And that has even expanded over the years because I've learned how to relax when I'm there. So
can we hear any of these effortless high notes? Not to put you right on the spot, but
well, I'm not warmed up today, but
a little just in time, maybe?
No, we just don't hear Mark. I'm baffled right now.
Baffled, he's not baffled.
But I'll say this, though.
Yeah.
So we have this thing, few of us play golf. We have the Take 6 Open. And, yes, Katie's puffing up because he's the current
champion. Nice.
Champion on the Take 6 Open.
Thank you. Thank you.
But one of the things that used to always happen to me is that when I would get around water, I would say, okay, don't hit it in the water. I'm so focused on not hitting it in the water that the water can be anywhere. It can be behind me. And somehow, I don't even know how it would happen.
You find it.
But the ball would be in the water. And so I say that to say that when I started singing in the group, when I talked about that joy part about it, what I realized is that I have to not really think so much about what's coming up and just sort of be in the moment. And in the moment, suddenly the moment's passed and you did it. You did what you had to do.
Yeah.
But if you start thinking and start stressing about it way in advance, by the time you get there, you're already worn out.
Yeah.
Because that stress, you feel it, our voices, those vocal cords are muscles.
Yeah.
Highly specialized, but they're still muscles.
Absolutely.
So you'll be stressed and it'll be worn out by the time you got there.
Yeah.
So what I started realizing is just be in the moment and just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you've done it.
A lot easier.
So while all of that is amazing to hear, and this guy can sing effortlessly at the top of every
I don't know what Claude's talking about, because at the beginning, we used to marvel at
That was 40 years ago.
the miracle that is Claude McKnight, because he would say that there was no difference between the range of my chest voice
And there wasn't.
and my head voice. And we would say, we don't believe you. And he would do it. Like, wait, what?
I could do it a long time ago.
Okay.
Now I may need to get some lessons to get that back. What I was going to say is,
He needs your help.
Okay.
ouch!
I don't know about
I'm playing
that.
it.
No,
Playing it to you.
the interesting thing is, all these things are true. For me personally, though, since I'm not an actual first tenor, but I sing first tenor, it takes a long time, especially as I get older, to really get to where I need to be each night.
Yeah.
So it's like lifting weights, to where I used to be able to, if I'm going to say in the weight analogy, you know that you warm up, and then you can go higher and higher and higher as far as the weights are concerned. It's the same principle for me. I have to know that I have to warm up at a lower range or level, whatever, and gradually get there. So even at the end of a sound check, I'm not where I need to be yet.
Yeah.
I have to peak in the shows now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a struggle sometimes because my voice isn't actually as high as it used to be.
Wow.
Because I can listen to recordings from our first album when I'm like, who is this guy? Honestly, because I'm like, my voice was so much higher, and it was easier to do things. Like when we listened to the "I'm on across the door," you ever listen to that? We did this whole thing where we did a section of Getaway Jordan, and we did it over and over and over again. And that thing is so high, and I did it so effortlessly. I was like, I don't remember who this guy is. So
Can we hear a little bit?
We can
Do
try
that one?
But the thing, before we do it, I'm going to say this too. It wasn't.
This is the second time he got you. Every time you try to go there, he said, but before we do that.
Before we actually sing,
And cut. Oh, thank you.
I'm going to wax another 30 minutes. Go ahead.
It's one thing to be able to hit the note.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was not just hitting the note, but it sounded musical, if that makes any sense. You've heard people saying that are hitting notes, but it just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just feels like uncomfortable, you're out of your range.
Yeah.
But man, back in the day, I'm telling you. Because even when we do it now, you'll hear that if you listen to I wish you would play the album version and then juxtapose
We
that
can.
against.
We can do that. Yeah.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's a
You know
difference.
this section?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my jam right here, man.
That's where it is, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Across the door just to see you face to face, 'cause I believe about the waters if I have a little faith. So get back, Jordan.
So why am I the only one singing it now?
Because it's the president. Because he's demonstrating what he just said.
So
Okay,
okay, how about we do that again?
Yeah.
I thought we were just doing the one section.
Yeah, I thought we were just doing the first part of it.
I thought, well, the high part is the next part, right?
And you have it. So hey, good. So we're gonna do that again. 2, 3. I wanna cross the Jordan just to see you face to face, 'cause I believe above the waters if I have a little faith. So get back, Jordan. Gotta get across, get back, 'cause I wanna see my Jesus. No temptation. So I pray and help me, Lord. Gotta get across this Jordan. Ooh, get back, Jordan. No, I want to cross over to see my Lord. Yes, I wanna cross over to see my Savior face to face. Yes, I gotta get to the other side.
Did you do it there? No. Who does it?
Me.
Mark.
Get way back.
Did you notice how they were switching?
I was just taking it all in. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
It's actually cool.
So the funny thing is, I sing the first, the top part. 99.9% of the time, I'm on top.
Yeah.
The highest parts of things that we still do, Dave will take over at times,
Okay.
just for a little break here and there. And sometimes Mark will as well. Because not only can't I hit those notes, but sometimes because I'm lifting so heavy
Yeah.
during the concert,
Yeah.
I literally am doing like this
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
And I just need a spell, even if it's just for a line or two.
Absolutely.
But what we just did demonstrate is that you have to really focus on how much air you can push that high.
Yeah.
Push too much, can't do it.
Right.
Push
That's
too
what
little,
I want to know for you.
Push too little, you can't support it. So
Yeah.
it has to be exact, and
balance.
that amount of pressure changes depending on how warmed up you are.
Yeah.
For me,
Are you warmed up now?
not even close.
Okay, I didn't think so. But you can hit those notes. How do you do that?
But if you notice, at the beginning, I was hitting it better than when we were trying to sing it together, because what my
Yes.
subconscious feels is the volume needs to be at a certain level based on what I'm hearing.
I
And so
get
when I hear that, then I pushed a little bit too hard at the beginning when we were doing it the second time.